I am Elizabeth I of England. I was born on September 7, 1533, at Greenwich Palace. A princess by birth, but soon cast aside by the cruel twists of fortune. My mother, Anne Boleyn, was the second wife of my father, King Henry VIII of England. His deep desire for a male heir to secure the Tudor dynasty ultimately sealed my mother's fate. When I was just 2 years old, my father had her executed on charges of treason, adultery and incest, charges that I now believe were false, fabricated to clear the path for his next marriage. My status as princess was stripped, and I was declared illegitimate, a bastard unworthy of the throne. For years, I lived in uncertainty, a child caught between the ambitions and whims of a monarch and the dangerous games of politics in my father's court. Yet, despite my precarious position, I knew from an early age that I must be cunning, shrewd, and intelligent to survive in a world dominated by men. I was educated in the classical tradition, fluent in Latin, Greek, French, and Italian. I immersed myself in philosophy, history, and theology, cultivating my mind as my most valuable weapon. I knew that knowledge and diplomacy would be my armor, for I lacked the brute strength of kings, and the realm I one day hoped to govern would require a ruler of cunning and intellect. My half-brother, Edward VI, succeeded our father when he died in 1547. Edward, like me, had been raised in the Protestant faith, which brought me some solace during his reign. But his time on the throne was short. He was just 15 when he succumbed to illness in 1553, and with his death, England was plunged into uncertainty once more. His chosen heir, Lady Jane Grey, ruled for a brief 9 days before my half-sister, Mary, daughter of Henry's first wife, Catherine of Aragon, seized the crown with the determined force that mirrored our father's will. Mary, now Queen of England, was fiercely Catholic and viewed my Protestant faith as a threat. For her, my existence was a constant reminder of the schism between the Catholic Church and the Church of England that our father had created. I was imprisoned in the Tower of London in 1554, accused of conspiring in a Protestant rebellion led by Sir Thomas Wyatt. Though I vehemently denied the charges, and no evidence could prove my involvement, the cold stone walls of the tower became my home for 2 months. I knew, as my mother had known before me, that imprisonment in the tower could very well lead to death. But fate had other plans for me. I was released, but the shadow of suspicion would follow me until Mary's death. In 1558, I received news that Mary had passed. She left no heirs, and at the age of 25, I became Queen of England. The coronation was a moment of profound realization for me. The heavy weight of the crown now rested upon my head, and with it came the immense responsibility of guiding England through turbulent times. My first priority was to stabilize the religious strife that had torn my country apart. The Protestant Reformation, initiated by my father, had fractured the kingdom, and Mary's fervent Catholicism had only deepened the divide. I sought a middle way, the Elizabethan religious settlement of 1559, which aimed to unite my subjects under a common faith, while allowing some degree of personal religious freedom. I restored the Church of England's independence from Rome, but I carefully avoided alienating my Catholic subjects, balancing on a tightrope between religious factions. The realm I inherited was fraught with political instability, and my reign would be defined by both internal and external threats. Chief among these was Mary, Queen of Scots, a Catholic and a legitimate heir to the English throne in the eyes of many. Mary's presence in England was a constant thorn in my side, and her Catholic supporters saw her as a rallying point for rebellion. For nearly 2 decades, I kept her under house arrest, and despite my reluctance to shed royal blood, I ultimately ordered her execution in 1587, when her involvement in plots to overthrow me could no longer be denied. But perhaps the greatest test of my reign came in 1588, when Philip II of Spain, enraged by my support of Protestant rebels in the Netherlands and the piracy of English sea captains like Sir Francis Drake, sent his mighty Spanish armada to invade England. Outnumbered and seemingly outmatched, my fleet of smaller, Faster ships outmaneuvered the Spaniards in the English Channel. Storms and misfortune plagued the Armada. And in the end, what was touted as an unstoppable force was vanquished. The victory was not just a military triumph, but a symbol of England's resilience and my steadfast leadership. It solidified my place in history as a monarch who had defied the odds and protected her realm from a powerful enemy. Though I was often called the Virgin Queen, my reign was not without suitors. I understood the value of marriage as a political tool, but I was wary of the dangers it posed. A foreign husband could dominate me or embroil England in unnecessary wars. A domestic marriage could upset the balance of power among the nobility, so I remained unmarried, much to the frustration of my counselors. I did not need a king beside me. I was England's sovereign, the mother of my people, and I knew that my singular authority would not be shared with any man. My reign became known as the Elizabethan era, a time of great cultural flourishing. Under my patronage, the arts thrived. Writers like William Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe crafted plays that have endured through the centuries, exploring the depths of human experience. Exploration, too, became a hallmark of my rule. Adventurers like Sir Walter Raleigh and Sir Francis Drake circumnavigated the globe and brought wealth and new knowledge to England, expanding our influence beyond Europe. Yet the crown was not without its burdens. I had no heir, and this weighed heavily on me as I grew older. The question of succession haunted my later years, just as it had troubled my father. But I knew that I could not control everything, and so I focused on what I could, ensuring that my kingdom was prosperous, stable, and ready for the future. I ruled for 45 years, and by the time of my death on March 24, 1603, I had transformed England into a strong, united, and confident nation. My people loved me, calling me Good Queen Bess. I had weathered storms, both literal and figurative, and emerged victorious. As I lay dying, I made no formal declaration of who should succeed me, though it was widely understood that my cousin, James VI of Scotland, would take the crown. I knew that the future of England was secure, even if I had no direct heir to pass my legacy to. And so I departed this world, leaving behind a nation transformed. I was the last of the Tudor monarchs, and while my dynasty ended with me, the impact of my reign would reverberate through the centuries. I had faced down threats from within and without, upheld the Protestant faith, nurtured the arts, and established England as a global power. My life had been one of constant challenge and vigilance, but I had triumphed, and my name would live on in history as one of England's greatest monarchs.